Hello everybody, welcome back. It is me, your old pal Orpheus, with another adventure here on Orpheus Plays. Although we are not going to be playing Blade and Sorcery today, I am in the world of Blade and Sorcery, the home map here, and I dig it, but it's a good place to be able to just sit down and have a chat with you, and that's what I want to do today. And I want to talk about something that's been bugging me a lot lately, and I think it might be bothering you as well, and that is division. Not the math, stop it. The division that's going on in our world right now. And I want to talk about that today. It's a little bit more of a serious topic, but we'll try to have a little bit of fun while we talk about it because it's important to get things in perspective and really discuss how things are going. So, hope you're doing well wherever you are today, whether it is day or night, doesn't matter to me as long as you're just coming here hanging out. Feel free to put on the headphones, you can turn off the screen if you want to. I'm not going to be doing anything fancy, just kind of looking around at the landscape and enjoying things while we have a little chat. So today, like I said, I wanted to talk about something. It's been really bothering me. And don't worry, before you get started wondering about what side I'm on or what side I'm going to take or anything, on this channel, I do not do drama. I have opinions. I have opinions, but I don't do them on this channel. I don't indulge them. I don't talk about specific things. I don't talk about political things. I don't align with specific parties at all on here. I don't do any of that stuff. And I do that because I want to give you a place, yes, you, a place to come in order to just kind of chill out. A place to come where just get a little bit of entertainment, get a smile, maybe waste a little bit of your day after a long day working or going to school or whatever you're doing. I just like to give you a place where you can just have a refuge, right? Just somewhere calm like this. Well, calm when I'm ripping people's arms off and stabbing them with swords and stuff. But anyway, you know what I mean. I want this channel to be a place where it's kind of a solace, a calm place, a fun place for you to go where you don't have to worry about hearing anything that's going to piss you off about, the world going on right now. And that's what we're going to do today. Now, if you've been following the news, and again, not going to get anything specific here, or too specific, maybe anyway. If you've been following the news lately, and by lately I mean the last couple of years, maybe the last 4 or 5 years, depending upon, how you want to look at it, there are forces at play in our lives right now that are trying to divide us, okay? Division is a very powerful tool, not just for math. But division is a very powerful tool because what it does is it takes a unified thing, okay? Something that's strong and together and cohesive and adhering together, and it splits it. But why would you want to do that? Well, if you're someone that wants to control aspects of other people's lives, if you're someone that wants to thrive off of chaos, not like the Joker, okay, a little bit like that, but we're talking like large insurance companies, places that make money, well, maybe not insurance companies, but they make money off of your fear, okay? Places like that make money off your fear. Big Pharma makes money off your fear. I'm not getting it. Don't worry, I'm not one of those vax people. I don't, that's not in my wheelhouse. I don't talk about that stuff. But large companies get their business because of fear and division and the feeling that you're missing out on things that other people have that you don't have, dividing us. Because it's easier to conquer different small parts of a group if you can break them apart and conquer them individually. Okay, so if you have an army and you want to break up that army, you find ways to separate out parts and attack them. If you're a pack animal, the weakest ones in your prey, the ones that lag behind, the ones that separate away from the pack, from the herd, are the ones you go after. Because they're the easy ones to get. They're the ones that you can track down, jump on, get them into where you need them to be, and take them out. And a lot of life is like that right now. There are a lot of forces at play politically, socioeconomically, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. We are being told that there is an A and a B. We're being told that there's a good guy and a bad guy. And whether you're being identified as the good guy or the bad guy, that's not really what's important here. What is important is that they are identifying good and bad, 1 and 0. They're identifying black and white. This is what the problem has become in our world, especially here in America. Folks, if you live somewhere else, if you're one of my international viewers or listeners, hey, thanks. Thanks for stopping by and listening to the insane ramblings of an American. But if you're someone that's outside the United States, you might not see really what's going on here in America. And if you live here, you know what's going on. There are people out there now who on a daily basis get absolutely offended about whatever, the tiniest little detail, by anybody that they don't like. Okay? It can be one member of one party or another party or someone that works for Blockbuster Video that doesn't exist anymore. But, someone could be doing a certain thing in life the way that they want to do it. It's not hurting anybody else. But no. Everyone has to jump on a tiny little detail they found. And then the whole talking point for that day is how you are stupid and they are intelligent and you're wrong and they're right and this person sucks and this person's awesome. We're subjected to that every single day of our lives now. Every day you wake up, something new where you're told that one group of people is evil and another group of people is the righteous ones fighting for good and truth and justice. There's too much polarization because it helps certain people with their goals. But that's not the only thing. That's not the only thing that's so bad about division and why it exists. Because the other, maybe more concerning part about this is that there are people out there that are like the Joker, that now thrive on chaos. Chaos, right? Why so serious? They thrive on chaos. And it's not necessarily that they're trying to cause the chaos themselves. A lot of people, hell, they'd love to be the one that gets that viral post on X or on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, wherever it is. They're the ones that make the outrageous claim that gets them millions of views. And it doesn't matter if there are thousands of people in the comments telling them that they're an idiot or whatever. There will be others that will say, yes, absolutely. I confirm you and your views and you are wonderful, and millions of views, and this person turns it into a brand, like something stupid like Hawk Tua, okay? Dumb stuff like that. Now, I picked her because she doesn't really divide people as much. I'm not going into all the other stuff she did. Don't get me started. But it's something like that. People say something stupid or outrageous or something like that, and they may be basing what they're saying in fact, okay? They might be. But they're probably doing it on this little tiny thing of fact, and they're blowing it up and making an entire cake out of it to serve everybody this slice of bullshit that they're handing out. But I think some people thrive on that. Being able to make people stir up, knowing that they tap on their tablet or on their computer and they hit send. And they sit back and they go, let's see what happens now, right? I'm going to see what kind of crap I can stir up out there in the internet or in the world. Here in America, though, we have this thing where people now are so conditioned that they think that one side of the world is the evilest, most evil people that ever were evil, that they're trying to dismantle America, and that they're destroying everything one piece at a time. And then you have them projecting themselves as the hero. See the light, they are the light coming out from over the horizon, shining the way of the darkness and all that bullshit, right? That's the way that they're putting it now. That there is the evil empire. You got Darth Vader and everybody else over here, and then you got the Republic and Luke Skywalker and all of them over here. But that's not how it is. Notice I'm being vague. Because both sides on this, if we're talking about politics, can look at each other the same way that I just described. That should be a problem. See, when we used to talk about politics when I was younger, if I were to make statements that were polarizing like that, everyone would know what I was talking about. We didn't really talk about politics and religion very much at the dinner table or at social events because it kind of was a rubbing point. It was more courtesy. You don't want people yelling at each other and getting into shit while they're in some like having dinner or at a wedding or whatever, or it's Christmas dinner, you're with your entire family. Some of them are a little weird, some of them are a little bit conservative, and some are way too liberal, and there's this, your uncle is libertarian and thinks that, things should be legal all across, you know what I'm saying, right? It used to be that politics were much simpler. There wasn't a good guy and a bad guy. There was just approach A and approach B, right? And sometimes approach C over here would be, make a little noise and people would go, oh, that's cute, whatever. But there was always just two different ways to approach the problems, right? If there was an issue with the economy, side one would go, here's our approach to fixing the economy. Side two would go, here's our approach on fixing the economy. And the American people would decide which one they were more comfortable with. The platforms were important, right? If side A decided that these were the values that they stood for, and side B said these were the values that we stood for, a lot of the times those elections came down to which was more likable. Which guy was more likable, because the platforms were similar. That both sides wanted the same thing: a strong country, a unified country, a country of people that felt patriotic and together, right? United in their struggle against the world, putting on a barrier against the world, saving and keeping people safe. That's what politics used to be. And that's why when one side or the other would win, people didn't lose their minds and go out into the streets and protest. People didn't go out and start calling the other side all these horrible names that, like, man, 30, 40 years ago, if you went around calling people communists and socialists and Nazis and fascists, and if you were throwing those words around 30, 40 years ago, my God, they would have locked you up. Like, no joke. People would have just been like, hey, Bob here needs some help because he's just screaming these outrageous frigging things at people, calling, like he called our neighbor Bill a Nazi just because he voted for this guy, right? Or he called this guy a communist just because he voted for this guy. Like, these were terms that were meaningful, and they carried a lot more weight back then. They weren't just thrown around because someone decided that that's what the autocomplete on their phone was giving them when they were writing something angrily on X. Okay? They didn't just throw them out as like an adjective that they wanted to, you're Nazi-esque, or you're communist, you have socialist ideals, or you're into fascism. These things are polarizing. These words have power because they instill emotion. They immediately bring emotion out of you. If someone calls you a bastard, immediately you're like, oh, what? Huh? Right? If someone calls you a Nazi, I know YouTube doesn't like these things, but context is important, folks. If someone calls you that, you're going to be like, whoa, what? Right? If someone calls you a communist, you're probably going to be like, what? Why? They're inflammatory. They're meant to make you have an emotional reaction. And that's part of the problem, is that the media does this too. The media is trying to stir things up. Now, their motives are different. Their motives are because they need to keep the money coming in. They need those clicks to come in. They need people to keep coming to their site and reading, past the dumb headline that got people to the clickbait that they fell for to come read some dumb story. Okay? The media, the legacy media, everyone talks about the legacy media. God, I was in the news for a while, folks. It was my career. I was a news personality, a radio personality. I was a news host. I was a morning show host. I lived and breathed news. And right after I left, the AP, which is the Associated Press, which was the main source for a lot of radio stations back then, they started doing this agenda stuff. It started small, but it started creeping up. And as soon as I left radio, I still had memberships to see this stuff. You used to have a membership to read the AP news, like the raw stuff that that got fed directly to the news places. I still had a membership to that for a couple of years, so I kept reading the news, and it went from just headlines and facts to opinions, the headlines that you would see in the opinion section before, and it was really weird because now these places that are like the source for information were suddenly putting out things with emotion in them. things with a skew already built into them that goes to these places. And a lot of these radio stations, folks, if it's a radio station that does really fast stuff during times of the day, so if it's an always news rotating around the clock, right? Or if it's a morning show and you do news a few times during an hour, right? The people who do that have to just rip and read. They have to rip it right off of the printer there. They don't do that anymore. But they got to just take it right from the source, jump on the microphone, and today at Ford Motor Company, it looks like another clash between the unions and the management. We're trying to look into the issue now. It seems that, and you do that, right? So a lot of people just rip and read. And so when they do that, it slowly went from when I was in the news, that was acceptable, right? You could do that. I was able to read it like I wrote it, right? But if you did that now, whatever source you're getting it from, and I know it's completely different now, but the legacy media, wherever they were getting it from, you rip and read that stuff and suddenly you're part of that conspiracy. Now, is it a conspiracy? We've been led to see a lot of things lately that kind of make it look like the legacy media is all coming from the same source, and they're all funded from similar sources. Similar sources that have their own political ideals and agendas and feelings and how they want to direct the country in whatever direction they want it to go. And they're trickling that information down into the American public, and you have people that, look, the news is not perfect, all right? So when you have an organization that has 50 people in it and they're all assigned to different organizations, right? No, not organizations, different news desks, right? You have one that does finance, one that does sports, one that does local news, one that does regional, state, national, international. You have all these people, and inevitably there's going to be people in there that have very strong political views. And these days, my gosh, those political views, I'll get to those in a second. Oh, man. Anyway, there's going to inevitably be people that work for those places that have their own very strong skew on things. And not only that, they don't have the ability to keep that stuff in on a regular basis, right? For them, it's not just a job where they come in and they type the news and they put a little intelligent spin, a little bit of wit and humor into it and send it off, right? For them, every news story is an opportunity to shape the narrative. Now, that's a very powerful thing that has been happening. If you keep hearing it, shaping a narrative. And it seems like there is a division that's being sowed by the national news media and international news media. The news media in general, this what we call legacy media. The letters, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, and even some of the big ones, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, The Atlantic, New Yorker, every single one that's been around for a long time that used to be a print sort of thing or a big name, they're now force-feeding crap to the American people and to the world, to the point where people that don't go and discuss these issues, these big issues going on lately with everybody, if you don't have a diverse friend group of people that across the entire spectrum of the partisans, party, everything across every party, you're going to think what is being handed to you by whatever news media that you intake and by whatever echo chamber is also fed by that news media or themselves. Now, the biggest problem going on with all this is when there is now division and resistance to whatever measure is being put out by whatever political party. It doesn't matter. You're probably expecting me to lean one side and tell you, I'm actually for this. No, I'm not going to do that. This happens on both sides. There are measures that are brought forth to the to the Congress and to our governance, and they fail now because the other side just simply doesn't want to. I hate you guys so much that I'm not even going to cooperate. I'm not going to do a thing that you say. No, it's good for this. I don't care. I don't care at all. I don't like you. Screw it. That is dangerous to America. That is where that division starts to grind on the American people. And if you're somewhere in the world that has this same phenomenon going on, which it seems like it's building in the rest of the world as well, if you're somewhere like that, you're noticing that things are grinding too. Time is going slowly because everything has to be a resistance effort. This is not the 1960s, folks. 1969, the summer of love, where people sat down in front of, education buildings and in city halls, and they had their signs and they chanted and they, give peace a chance and kumbaya and everything. This is not 1969 because those people back then were doing it for causes that were beautiful. War is bad. Everyone could agree on that. They just were the ones that went out and started having sit-ins and chanting and songs and stuff. War is bad. Capitalism, when it's left to go unchecked, is bad. I think we can kind of agree on that, right? War is bad. People getting rich off of the backs of others and abusing others to get their riches, that's bad too. Now, immediately you're going to start thinking of people like Elon and Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and Tim Cook and all these other people that own all these big businesses. Some are good, some are bad. But the fact that we're being told that now capitalism isn't just, unchecked. We're being told that anyone that's rich is terrible, and anyone that's smart is terrible, that anyone that's on this side shouldn't be listened to. It doesn't matter how intelligent they are, or what good ideas they have, or anything that they do that can save the world, or just a few bucks at the pump or whatever. And people will refuse to even hear the idea because they hate someone. You might have that problem in your life. Maybe you're someone that dislikes someone politically, all right? Doesn't matter who it is. There are opponents, there are figureheads on both sides. There are people on both sides that are just as guilty as everybody else when it comes to thriving off of this division. Thriving off of ways to shape and knock things off the country or add things to the country in order to make more small boxes. To break you and I and your friends and your family and your acquaintances and the people you work with and see every day. They're trying to make it so you don't trust those people. Why? It makes it easier to control you. It makes it easier for them to mold you into something so that when you go out into the world, hey, you're like the baby bird pushed out of the nest. You can fly on your own and tell people all these things that you've learned from them. And more division. And what does that do to the world? It makes us not trust each other. It breaks up any sort of identity that we're trying to build together. And it breaks up the chances that we have for success as a people. And break that down as far as you want. As a world, as a nation, as a continent, as groups of people in our neighborhoods that are being split apart by stupid things like who you voted for. Folks, it doesn't matter who you voted for. It doesn't matter. You voted for somebody. Congratulations, you took part in the process. I'm clapping for you that you took part in the process. I don't care who you voted for. Someone had an idea or a plan or a set of plans that you liked and you voted for that. Okay, cool. You're a good person for doing that. But if you now go out into the world and you see that someone else voted for that person that you didn't vote for, and you say, meh, up yours, bro. But not just that, you continue to say up yours to all of those people. You go on social media and you rant about how ridiculous these people are doing this or that. Everyone needs to chill. We need to just relax. We need to go back out into the public, go to a bar, not worry about what the person next to you voted for. Not worry about whether that person makes you feel unsafe just because, again, they voted for somebody. And that seems to be the sticking point these days, doesn't it? Who did you vote for? Oh, I can tell who you voted for. Oh, you voted for so-and-so, so screw you. Or I can't trust you. The thing that really gets me, and this happened in the last few elections, like both Biden and Trump. I said it, I'm sorry. I said the two names that were, you're not supposed to say them. But this happened in both administrations. People hate. People hate. They hate things. Like, you voted for him, so I don't trust you. But wait a minute. You just trust, like, I was your friend before the election, right? Yeah? But then you find out I vote for someone and suddenly you feel unsafe around me? Am I not the same person that I was before I voted for him or her? Aren't you the same person that you were before and after? If you're someone that's harboring a lot of hate and you're going out there every day and you're spray painting people's property, or you're pushing people in public, or you're screaming at them to get away from you because they're wearing a hat or wearing a blue ribbon or blue nail polish, or they shaved their head, or whatever they do to express themselves, and you get upset with that to the point where you just can't control yourself, you're allowing yourself to be made upset by something else that happened in the world that didn't involve you, but you're getting the trickle down from it. You're falling for it. You're becoming a person that is in on the division. And if you are, I'm sorry, you got to break out of it. You got to start loving people again, man. Who cares who they voted for? There's another human being standing right there in front of you. I don't care if they're wearing a hat or a ribbon or have their nails painted or their head shaved or they got whatever they're wearing, whatever they're doing. If they have it tattooed across their forehead who they voted for, it doesn't matter. They're a person. You may not agree with them politically. You may not agree with some things in their lives. And no, you can ignore or accept people who don't believe fundamental things that you do. What about religion? Do you think that people that are from different religions on a regular basis, and don't get started, okay? Do you think that someone that's Christian, someone that's Jewish, someone that's Buddhist are going to go to a bar? It sounds like a joke, right? A Christian, a Buddhist, and a Jew walk into a bar. But if you think that they're going to all walk into a bar, ask each other what religions they are, and then go, oh, and all go running off in different directions these days, you're wrong. But for some reason, that's what happens with politics. Why? I don't know. It just is. So my suggestion to you, relax. Chill out. Let life happen. Enjoy your life. Let other people enjoy their lives. If they're not hurting anybody, if you're not hurting anybody, what does it hurt the world? What does it hurt you? Let people live. Okay? Just like me, just like you. Hey, I love you. You love me. Ew, it's Barney the dinosaur. No, anyway, I may or may not have done the voice for him at some point. Anyway, so that's another story. We will talk to you here on the next Orpheus Plays. I hope you learned something. I hope it made you a little bit more thoughtful about how things are going, and maybe just make you a little bit more tolerant. Don't hate everybody because of a choice that they made that you don't agree with. If it doesn't hurt anybody, it doesn't hurt you directly, don't be mad. Just be glad that you're with another person. Respect each other. That's all it takes. Just respect each other. I respect you, you respect me. Everything's cool. Anyway, we'll see you on the next one here on Orpheus Plays. Be good. Do good. Treat yourself well because you deserve it. And an additional one today, treat other people well too. Because they also deserve it. See you in the next one. Bye!